Most people never lose respect all at once. They lose it slowly, invisibly, through a series of small concessions they barely notice themselves making. A delayed response they excuse, a boundary they soften to avoid tension, a moment where they explain something that did not require explanation. By the time they feel disrespected, the damage has already been done. The world didn't suddenly turn against them. The world simply adjusted to the version of them they quietly presented. Human beings are constantly recalculating status, not consciously, not maliciously, but automatically. Every interaction updates a mental ledger: who leads, who follows, who adapts, who absorbs pressure, who creates it. And the harsh truth is this: people don't respect what they can move easily. They respect what remains stable under pressure. If your presence bends every time someone pushes, your position collapses without a fight. Most men are taught that respect comes from being reasonable, accommodating, and understanding, that if they communicate clearly enough, explain their intentions carefully enough, and remain calm long enough, others will eventually treat them fairly. This belief is comforting and completely false. Respect is not granted through explanation, it is inferred through behavior. People don't listen to what you say about yourself, they watch what you tolerate. The moment you feel the urge to explain yourself unnecessarily, something important is happening internally. That urge is not logic, it is fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being disliked, fear of losing connection. And the instant fear enters your behavior, your position weakens. Not because fear is visible, but because it alters how you move. Your voice changes, your posture tightens, your words multiply, and people sense it, even if they can't articulate why. Powerful individuals understand something most people never learn. Silence is not absence, silence is pressure. When you stop filling space with explanations, you force others to confront their own assumptions. When you don't rush to clarify, you make people work harder to interpret you, and effort creates value. The more people must think about you, the more weight you carry in their mind. This is where the psychological shift occurs. You stop trying to be understood, and you start allowing yourself to be observed. You stop correcting every misinterpretation. You stop rushing to smooth every tension. You stop performing emotional labor for people who have not earned access to you. And in that stillness, something changes. People begin to adjust themselves around you instead of expecting you to adjust to them. Disrespect thrives on availability. When someone knows you will always respond, always clarify, always accommodate, they unconsciously downgrade your value. Not because they dislike you, but because scarcity is the currency of importance. Anything that is always accessible is assumed to be replaceable. The fastest way to change how people treat you is not confrontation, it is withdrawal of unnecessary availability. This does not mean becoming cold, hostile, or aggressive. That is insecurity masquerading as strength. True power is calm, it is measured, it is selective. You do not remove your presence emotionally, you remove it strategically. You give less reaction, less justification, less urgency, and you watch how quickly the dynamic shifts. People test boundaries instinctively. A joke at your expense, a subtle dismissal, a decision made without consulting you. These are not accidents, they are probes, and every probe asks the same question: will this person push back, or will they absorb it? The answer determines everything that follows. If you absorb it, the behavior escalates. If you respond emotionally, the behavior escalates. But if you remain composed and unmoved, the test often stops immediately. The reason this works is simple. Emotional reactions give information. They tell people where your pressure points are. Calm gives nothing. Calm creates uncertainty, and uncertainty forces recalibration. When someone cannot read you easily, they become more cautious. When they become more cautious, respect follows. Most men think confidence is about projection.
louder voice, stronger words, sharper posture. But real confidence is internal containment. It is the ability to feel emotion without broadcasting it, to experience discomfort without rushing to resolve it, to let silence do the work that words usually sabotage. Consider how differently people behave around someone who does not rush to respond, someone who pauses before speaking, someone who does not immediately defend themselves when challenged. That pause creates gravity. It signals that this person is not operating on impulse, and impulse-driven people instinctively defer to those who appear deliberate. Attachment is where most men lose power. The moment you need a specific outcome, approval, agreement, validation, you begin to leak leverage. People feel that need even when you never say it aloud, and once they feel it, they unconsciously position themselves above you. Detachment is not indifference, it is self-sufficiency. It is knowing that your identity, stability, and direction do not depend on another person's reaction. When you stop needing people to respond a certain way, they start responding differently, not because you demanded it, but because your behavior signals that you are not chasing alignment. You are offering presence, and presence can be withdrawn. That possibility alone changes how people behave around you. This psychological shift does not make you liked by everyone. It makes you respected by those who matter. Some people will drift away when they realize they can no longer extract reassurance, attention, or compliance from you. That is not loss, that is filtration. Respect is incompatible with entitlement, and entitlement disappears the moment access is no longer guaranteed. You must understand this clearly. The goal is not dominance, the goal is stability. Dominance invites resistance, stability invites alignment. When people sense that you are grounded, self-directed, and unaffected by minor disruptions, they stop testing you, they stop pushing, they stop taking liberties, not out of fear, but out of recognition. This shift begins internally. You stop negotiating with your own discomfort. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop volunteering explanations for choices that require none. You keep your word to yourself. You move when you say you will move. You leave when you say you will leave. And over time, your internal consistency becomes externally visible. People treat you according to the standard you enforce through behavior, not through speech. You do not announce boundaries, you embody them. You do not argue for respect, you create conditions where disrespect becomes ineffective. The moment you internalize this, everything slows down. Conversations change, reactions change. People listen more carefully. They choose their words. They hesitate before crossing lines they once crossed casually. And none of this requires aggression, threats, or explanations. It happens because your presence has weight. This is the recalculation, the silent one, the one that happens in other people's minds without your participation. And once it happens, it is permanent. Because people may forget what you said, but they never forget how difficult it was to move you. You don't need to be intimidating. You need to be unmoved. You don't need to be distant. You need to be self-contained. When your emotional center is no longer public property, your value rises automatically. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about removing behaviors that never served you. The over-explaining, the constant availability, the reflexive accommodation. When those fall away, what remains is not arrogance, it is clarity. And clarity is what forces the world to adjust.